They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but sometimes it's best served at 3 a.m. with a fleet of tow trucks. Picture this. You wake up to the acrid smell of fresh asphalt burning your nostrils. Your private gravel driveway, the one you paid $80,000 for specifically to avoid HOA control, has been paved overnight without permission. Your fence posts lie scattered like broken teeth. Your surveyor markers sledgehammered into oblivion. Then you find the letter. The HOA president actually had the audacity to bill you $3,200 for this community upgrade and demand monthly maintenance fees. The smugness practically drips off the page as she explains how your rustic road needed proper standards. What she didn't know, I'm a retired commercial developer who owns a secret towing contract with every impound lot in the county. By morning, every single car belonging to her little HOA mafia had vanished into thin air like they never existed. My name's Garrett Rockwell, and 3 years ago, I thought I'd found paradise. After selling my concrete construction business in Dallas, my wife Elena and I bought our dream property, 3 acres of rolling Texas hill country on the edge of Willowbrook Commons subdivision. The house sat 400 yards back from the main road, connected by a beautiful gravel driveway that crunched satisfyingly under tires. Here's the key detail that saved my sanity and my wallet. I specifically purchased the access road separately. Not part of the subdivision, not subject to HOA rules, completely private. The previous owner, George Blackwood, was a smart old rancher who carved out that road access in 1987 specifically to avoid neighborhood politics. I paid an extra $80,000 for that privilege, and it was worth every penny. Elena's a high school principal, salt of the earth practical, with a laugh that could diffuse any argument. Our daughter Sophia was 15, focused on college prep and staying out of teenage drama. We'd moved here for peace, privacy, and the kind of quiet family time you can't buy in the city. Enter Vivian Ashworth, the human embodiment of a parking ticket. Picture the most entitled real estate agent you've ever met. Multiply that by 10, then give her a gavel and a homeowner association presidency. Vivian drove a white BMW X5 with vanity plates reading Prop QN. And yes, she thought that was clever. She'd been HOA president for 3 years, during which she'd sued 12 neighbors for violations ranging from non-conforming mailbox colors to excessive bird feeder activity. The woman measured grass height with an actual ruler. She carried it in her purse like other people carry breath mints. The trouble started on a Tuesday morning in March. I was enjoying my coffee when the rumble of heavy machinery shattered our peaceful morning routine. Outside my kitchen window, a crew was spreading fresh asphalt over my carefully maintained gravel road. The acrid smell of hot tar mixed with diesel fumes burned my nostrils as I realized what was happening. The foreman, when confronted, showed me a work order signed by Vivian. Community Access Improvement Project, Willowbrook, Grand Entrance. My fence posts had been pulled up like weeds and tossed in a pile. The metal surveyor markers I'd had professionally installed were gone, sledgehammered into scrap metal. I stormed to the HOA office in the strip mall down the road, my boots still covered in gravel dust. Vivian sat behind her desk like a queen holding court, surrounded by real estate awards and community service plaques. Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "We're bringing your rustic access up to community standards," she said, drawing out rustic, like it was a communicable disease. She showed me an enlarged plot map with my road highlighted in yellow marker labeled Future Community Thoroughfare. The next day brought a certified letter on official HOA letterhead. $3,200 assessment for road improvement. Monthly maintenance fees of $85. 30-day notice to install appropriate community standard landscaping. The kicker: threats of liens and legal action for noncompliance. Elena was furious. I could hear her slamming cabinet doors from 3 rooms away. Sophia's friends immediately started using our new driveway as a parking lot and skateboard path. But here's what Vivian didn't know. George Blackwood had included deed language that would make her legal team very, very sorry they'd ever heard my name. Within a week, she'd installed decorative stone entrance markers at the road junction where my private property met the subdivision. Brass plaques gleamed in the morning sun. Willowbrook Commons Grand Entrance established 2023. The audacity was breathtaking. She'd literally branded my driveway as community property. Next came the security company. Tuesday morning, I'm heading to town for supplies when this rent-a-cop flags me down at the end of my own driveway. "Excuse me, sir," he says, clipboard ready like he's processing a criminal. "I need to see some ID and verify your authorization to use this community access road." The metallic taste of pure rage filled my mouth. "This is my property," I said, keeping my voice level. "That's my house right there." He shrugs. "Ma'am says all vehicles need verification, community safety protocols." I filed a complaint with the county planning office the next morning. Everything requires permits in construction. Everything. Vivian's crew had violated at least 3 municipal codes. The county records confirmed my suspicions. 0 permits for any road work in our area. Within 48 hours, they posted a stop work order on Vivian's pretty new entrance pillars. Vivian's response was swift and predictably petty. Emergency HOA board meeting Friday night. According to my neighbor Marcus Webb, a retired Marine with very good hearing, Vivian spent an hour ranting about how I was obstructing community progress. The board voted unanimously to fine me $500 per day for failure to maintain common area. The certified letter arrived Monday morning officially declaring me persona non grata in my own neighborhood. But Vivian was just getting started with the psychological warfare. She organized what she called a community awareness campaign, basically turning my neighbors into an unpaid PR firm. Elena came home from grocery shopping visibly shaken after 3 neighbors cornered her with concerned warnings about my legal troubles. "They made it sound like you're some kind of criminal," Elena said, her hands trembling slightly as she unpacked groceries. While Vivian played neighborhood politics, I was playing a longer game. I called my former business partner and ordered a professional land survey with GPS coordinates. Cost $3,200. Exactly what Vivian was trying to charge me for destroying my property. I also contacted Rex Donovan, a retired sheriff's deputy who does private investigations. Within 3 days, Rex had uncovered something fascinating. Vivian had been buying up surrounding properties through shell companies for 18 months. The pieces started clicking together. She wasn't just harassing me for sport. This was about creating luxury estate lots by combining smaller parcels. My 3-acre Keystone property was all that stood between her and a multi-million-dollar development deal. The sabotage started Thursday morning with the acrid smell of dying St. Augustine grass. Our irrigation system had failed during a brutal Texas heatwave. When I traced the problem, I found someone had deliberately cut our main water line where it crossed under the new asphalt with surgical precision. Before I could even call a plumber, my phone rang. "Mr. Rockwell," came Vivian's voice, dripping with mock concern. "I understand you're planning to destroy community infrastructure. That will require board approval and a $5,000 damage deposit." The woman had sabotaged my property, then tried to extort me for fixing her damage. But something beautiful was happening in the neighborhood. Not everyone was drinking Vivian's Kool-Aid. Marcus quietly offered security cameras. Dr. Patricia Hernandez shared horror stories that made my situation look like amateur hour. The pattern was becoming clear. Vivian wasn't just targeting me. She was systematically harassing anyone who wouldn't sell. Rex's investigation revealed the smoking gun. Vivian was hemorrhaging money faster than a broken fire hydrant. Her shell companies owed $340,000 to multiple lenders. Her credit cards were maxed at $67,000, and her real estate license was under state investigation. The woman was 90 days from bankruptcy unless she could flip enough properties to cover her gambling losses. Sometimes the most important discoveries happen in the least likely places. Rex found our smoking gun in the courthouse basement, buried in a filing cabinet that probably hadn't been opened since Reagan was president. George Blackwood, that brilliant old rancher, had been playing four-dimensional chess back in 1987. The original deed. Restrictions contained language that would make any property lawyer weep with pure joy. Access road shall remain private property in perpetuity, not subject to any homeowner association covenants, assessments, or interference whatsoever. In perpetuity. Forever until the stars burn out and Texas freezes over. But Rex's corporate investigation revealed something even more devastating. Those shell companies weren't just buying properties. They were borrowing massive money using projected HOA income as collateral. Without successful rezoning, she'd default on $2.4 million in development loans. The political corruption ran deeper than small-town incompetence. County Commissioner Bradley Morse wasn't just rubber-stamping Vivian's permits. He was her brother-in-law. Rex documented 17 permit approvals that violated standard procedures, all benefiting Vivian's projects. Knowledge is power, but organized knowledge is a weapon of mass destruction. I converted our garage workshop into what Elena lovingly called the war room. Maps covered every wall, legal documents hung on clotheslines, and timelines stretched across folding tables like battle plans for D-Day. My first call went to Catherine Silverman, Dallas's most feared property rights attorney. Catherine had a 94% win rate and a reputation for making opposing counsel weep openly during depositions. Her strategy was beautiful in its simplicity: simultaneous quiet title action and federal environmental complaint filed the same day as HOA's public hearing. The evidence compilation took 3 days. Rex had assembled 847 photographs, 23 hours of video footage, and 156 documents proving systematic harassment and illegal property seizure. My secret weapon was Jake Morrison, owner of Morrison Recovery Services. Jake specialized in HOA towing contracts and knew every player in the business. "That woman owes my company $12,000 for unpaid towing services," Jake revealed, pulling out a thick file of invoices. "Been trying to collect for 8 months. Mechanics liens take priority over most other debts and can force asset sales to satisfy contractor claims." Jake's unpaid bills created a legal claim against HOA's common areas that could unravel Vivian's entire financial structure. Vivian's desperation reached new artistic heights that Tuesday night. Around midnight, I was jolted awake by the rumble of unmarked trucks rolling past our bedroom window. A crew worked under portable floodlights, installing speed bumps and no parking residents-only signs along what she now brazenly called community infrastructure. Marcus security cameras captured everything in high-definition glory: license plates, faces, and Vivian herself directing traffic like some kind of suburban construction foreman at 2 a.m. while wearing a pink tracksuit and designer sneakers. But her next move crossed a line I hadn't expected. Thursday afternoon, Elena was loading groceries when Vivian approached in the school parking lot with the predatory smile of a used car salesman. "Elena, honey," Vivian purred, "I'd like to offer $25,000 cash just for your inconvenience if Garrett drops this ridiculous lawsuit." Elena, bless her heart, had the presence of mind to start recording on her phone. What she captured was pure gold. Vivian admitting the money came from the Community Improvement Fund, which Rex had already proven was embezzled HOA dues. Elena's response was worthy of a standing ovation. "The only thing costing us everything is dealing with criminals who think private property is their personal piggy bank." The harassment campaign escalated to psychological warfare. Anonymous flyers appeared on windshields claiming I operated an illegal business from home. False complaints flooded the fire marshal's office. Someone even called Child Protective Services with bogus reports about unsafe living conditions. The property damage escalated Friday night. I woke to find our mailbox destroyed by vandals, though Marcus cameras clearly showed 2 HOA board members with a baseball bat at 3 a.m. My expensive landscaping had been poisoned with herbicide, leaving brown patches that spelled out "move" in dying grass. Social media warfare reached fever pitch, with fake accounts posting inflammatory comments about our family. Elena received private messages threatening her job and our safety. Sophia was bullied at school by children whose parents had drunk Vivian's Kool-Aid. But law enforcement was finally paying attention. The sheriff's deputy who'd witnessed our mailbox destruction filed an official report and requested increased patrols. Vivian's final gambit came disguised as community volunteerism. She organized what she called Community Action Day, a grassroots beautification project. The Facebook event page looked wholesome enough, but the real agenda was 20-plus neighbors armed with bolt cutters, sledgehammers, and enough righteous indignation to level a small building. Their target: every survey marker, security camera, and private property sign on my land. Saturday morning arrived with the ominous rumble of pickup trucks and SUVs converging on our road like some kind of suburban militia. Vivian emerged from her BMW like a general inspecting troops, clipboard in hand and bolt cutters gleaming in the morning sun. She'd even brought matching t-shirts reading Willowbrook Pride for her demolition crew. "Morning, neighbors," she called out cheerfully. "Ready to bring this corner of our community up to proper standards?" That's when I walked out with my video camera and the sheriff's deputy Marcus had quietly summoned. Deputy Rodriguez was a no-nonsense veteran who'd been documenting Vivian's escalating behavior for 3 weeks. "Folks need to step back from the property line," Rodriguez announced. "This is private land, and you're currently trespassing." Vivian's response was pure theater. She clutched her bolt cutters like a weapon and screamed about harassment of tax-paying citizens. When Vivian stepped onto my land with cutting tools while screaming threats, the deputy had seen enough. The metallic click of handcuffs echoed across the sudden silence. But here's where Vivian's media strategy backfired spectacularly. She'd called a local TV news crew expecting a sympathetic story about community improvement being blocked by a selfish neighbor. Instead, they filmed her getting arrested while holding bolt cutters and ranting about property rights. The footage of her supporters vandalizing private property while wearing matching t-shirts was comedy gold. Nothing says grassroots community movement like coordinated uniforms and professional demolition tools. Vivian spent 72 hours in county jail because her bond was set at $50,000 and her accounts were frozen pending fraud investigation. Her mugshot appeared on the evening news alongside reports about systematic HOA corruption and environmental crime. The financial empire collapse accelerated like dominoes falling in an earthquake. Banks froze Vivian's shell company accounts. 3 families received foreclosure notices on properties managed by her development partnerships. The HOA's insurance company canceled their policy due to criminal activity exclusions. Meanwhile, the investigation had uncovered the smoking gun. Vivian had embezzled $127,000 from community improvement funds to make loan payments on her failing property investments. 15 families demanded an emergency board meeting to elect new leadership. The federal courthouse in downtown Dallas was packed like a championship football game. Vivian Ashworth's sentencing hearing had drawn over 200 community members, investigative reporters, and federal prosecutors who'd built their case around my meticulously documented evidence. I sat in the front row with Elena and Sophia, surrounded by our allies who'd become genuine friends through this ordeal. The air smelled like nervous sweat and expensive lawyer cologne. Judge Patricia Morrison entered with the gravity of someone about to pronounce sentence on organized crime. The federal prosecutors had presented 847 pieces of evidence over 3 days, including every photograph, video clip, and document recs I had compiled during months of harassment. The victim impact statements began with Elena describing workplace intimidation and threats against our family. Dr. Hernandez testified about stress-related medical treatment required by multiple residents. Marcus presented his military perspective on proportional response. 12 other families shared similar stories of intimidation and financial extortion. When Vivian's turn came to speak, her court-appointed attorney attempted a plea for leniency. But Vivian couldn't help herself. She interrupted with a rambling speech about property values and community standards. "Your Honor, I was protecting innocent families from hostile neighbors who refused to follow reasonable community guidelines," she declared, her voice rising with each word. These people wanted to drag down everyone's investments with their selfish behavior. The evidence presentation was devastating. Catherine Silverman's timeline showed systematic criminal behavior escalating from harassment to property destruction to environmental crimes. Security footage played on courtroom monitors showing vandalism, intimidation, and midnight construction violations. Financial records revealed $340,000 in embezzled funds. When Judge Morrison announced an 8-year federal sentence, the courtroom erupted in applause that echoed off marble walls like thunder. Vivian's face went white as the reality of federal prison hit her. The media coverage was immediate and extensive, reaching 2.3 million viewers across Texas. The environmental victory exceeded my wildest expectations. Federal court ordered $2.1 million in wetland restoration funded by criminal forfeiture. My property would become the northern boundary of a new protected wildlife corridor. Civil lawsuit settlements awarded me $480,000 in damages and attorney fees. RICO treble damages were applied to all documented harassment and property damage. As federal marshals led Vivian away in handcuffs, she was still claiming she'd been protecting property values. Outside the courthouse, Elena and I stood in afternoon sunshine, surrounded by friends and neighbors who'd stood with us against organized crime disguised as community management. The sweet taste of justice was better than any victory I'd experienced during my construction career. Justice tastes sweetest when shared with people who deserve it most. That's why I donated $200,000 of the settlement money to establish the Willowbrook Veteran Scholarship, providing college assistance for military families in our community. The first scholarship recipient was the son of a neighbor who'd supported us throughout the ordeal. The environmental restoration exceeded everyone's expectations. Within 6 months, workers had completed the wetland rehabilitation ahead of schedule. Protected Millers Creek now supports returning wildlife, including rare painted buntings that hadn't been seen in our area for decades. Their morning songs drift across our property like nature's own victory celebration. Sophia received a full scholarship to the University of Texas engineering program after her essay about standing up to bullies won a statewide writing contest. She wants to specialize in environmental engineering, inspired by watching our wetland restoration process. Property values told the real story of our victory. Our house increased 45% in value following the corruption exposure and environmental restoration. The area rebranded itself as Willowbrook Conservation Community, a name that actually meant something beyond real estate marketing. The legal reforms our case inspired became the Texas Property Owner Protection Act, signed into law with bipartisan support. The legislation requires HOAs to carry $2 million liability insurance for officer misconduct and criminalizes harassment campaigns targeting individual homeowners. The community transformation was remarkable. Dr. Hernandez was elected HOA president with 89% of the vote, implementing transparent governance that published monthly budgets online. Annual dues dropped from $2,400 to $400 per household after eliminating corruption. Our third annual Freedom Road Festival last month drew over 500 attendees from across the state who wanted to celebrate the power of standing up to bullies. The smell of barbecue smoke and sound of children's laughter filled the air as families enjoyed bounce houses set up exactly where Vivian's security guard used to harass visitors. As I write this, Elena and I are planning semi-retirement that might include consulting for families facing similar HOA harassment. Rex is already investigating corruption in 3 other Texas communities. The sound of children playing on our restored gravel road during festivals perfectly captures what we fought to protect. Got your own HOA nightmare story? Share it in the comments below. You never know who might need to hear that they're not alone in this fight. Sometimes the best revenge really is living well and keeping detailed records. Remember, your HOA dues aren't their personal piggy bank, and patience and persistence always defeat petty tyrants, especially when you document everything.